100 facts about the 100 Zelda characters. Let's do this. Link. Nearly every Legend of Zelda game has a different Link, with all of the Links being Hero of Hyrule, Legendary Hero, Hero of Time, Hero of Winds, Hero chosen by the gods, Royal Engineer, Goddess's chosen hero, New Hero of Hyrule, and Champion of Hyrule. So yeah, there are a lot of Links. Fierce Deity. Fierce Deity Link is the embodiment of all the emotions felt by the people of Termina. And this is backed up by the fact that you have to trade all of the masks to receive a Fierce Deity mask, and the expression that Link has when he wears it. He's definitely experiencing every emotion ever here from everybody, even this chicken. Wolf Link. Wolf Link actually appears in Animal Crossing New Leaf, and his birthday is December 2nd, the day that Twilight Princess was first released in Japan. Hero Spirit. Hero Spirit is actually timely from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but as the embodiment of Link's regret. I guess he regretted seeing that chicken's emotions from the Fierce Deity mask. Zelda. Despite the series being named after Zelda, there are actually a few games where she doesn't even appear in, with the games being Link's Awakening and Triforce Heroes, and she only appears once in Majora's Mask in a flashback. Sheik. In the Ocarina of Time manga, it is stated that Zelda is literally transforming into a male when she turns into Sheik. Also, another fun fact is that she, or should I say he, was planning to make an appearance in Twilight Princess, but the idea was scrapped, and Sheik's discarded design ended up being used in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Tetra. It was announced at E3 2003 that Tetra was planning to get her own spin-off game called Tetra Trackers, but the idea was scrapped and was instead used as an optional game mode in Four Swords Adventures called Navi Trackers. Hilda. Hilda is essentially Zelda's evil doppelganger, since she serves as the main villain in Link Between Worlds. Ganon. When you die in Legend of Zelda 2, Ganon will appear on the game over screen and laugh at you. And the sound of him laughing is the same sound as Soda Popinski's laugh in the game Punch-Out. Just listen. Soda Popinski is Ganon confirmed. Ganondorf. The incarnation of evil, Ganondorf, and one of the strongest characters in the Legend of Zelda series, can be fooled by a fishing rod. Yeah, a fishing rod. Calamity Ganon. Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf are all in a constant cycle of reincarnation. But if one of them fails to reincarnate properly, the person will become a Calamity, a mindless beast, which is what Calamity Ganon is. Aghanim. During the boss battle against Aghanim, you can actually reflect his fireballs by using the bug catching net, which is pretty funny since he's like a wizard or something. Nightmare. Nightmare is the one responsible for all the enemies in Link's Awakening, and these creatures include Mario characters like Goomba, Boos, Pokies, Spinies, and even Shy Guys. And there's no real canonical reason on why Nightmare can do this. The whole game is pretty much a parody, which might be the reason why Zelda doesn't appear in this one. Skull Kid. According to Navi and Ocarina of Time, when adults are lost in the Lost Woods, they turn into a creature called a Stalfos. But if a child gets lost in the Lost Woods, they'll turn into a Skull Kid, which is what Skull Kid is. Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was used in ancient rituals and is said to house the spirit of evil itself, and anyone who wears it will be possessed by it and will follow the mask's demands. However, this is completely thrown out the window in Breath of the Wild, since Link can literally wear it without any problems. Twinrova. When you defeat Twinrova in Ocarina of Time, a halo appears above both of their heads while they ascend into a light, as if they're going to heaven, which is pretty confusing given that these are the same characters that raised and aided Ganondorf, literally the most evil character in the Legend of Zelda series. Onox. If you play Oracle of Ages before Oracle of Seasons, Onox will boast about how he is stronger than his counterpart Varin, the final boss in Oracle of Ages. And if you didn't know, these two games are connected, because if you beat one of them, you'll get a password to use in the other one, and it'll unlock additional dialogue like Onox's. Varin. Even though Varin is a main villain of Oracle of Ages, she is actually just a servant of Ganondorf's parents, Twinrova. And this is hinted at by the symbols found on her shoulder pads, which is commonly associated with the race that Ganondorf is part of. Vati. Vati has the same laugh as the Happy Mask Salesman. Just listen. No wonder I don't trust this guy. Zant. At the end of Twilight Princess, Zant stabs his own neck, which causes Ganondorf to die. Just watch. And this famous cutscene led to a ton of fan theories, because no one really knows why Zant did this. Let me know your theories down below. Bellum. Bellum is one of the only major antagonists in the series to have 0 lines of dialogue, with only saying Link's name prior to their final battle. However, in the 2009 manga adaptation of Phantom Hourglass, Bellum is the complete opposite, and he is very talkative, and he even has his own custom font with a darker speech bubble with bolder text. So I guess after his defeat, his personality really blossomed. Girahim. Girahim is the spirit of the Demise's sword, while Fi is the spirit of the Master Sword. And just like Fi, when Girahim is in his weapon form, he resembles the Master Sword, but with an evil twist to it. Demise. One could argue that Demise is the true antagonist in Legend of Zelda, since Ganon is said to be the incarnation of Demise's hatred that was imposed upon the world after his defeat in Skyward Sword. So, in other words, Ganon may have been born as a kind and pure soul, ruling over Gerudo as a respectful king, rather than a power-hungry monster thanks to Demise. Yuga. Yuga is believed by fans to be the Lurian counterpart to Ganondorf, since he seeks for world domination and has a similar color palette. And if you didn't know, Laurel is the alternate reality of Hyrule, and characters like Zelda and Link have confirmed Lurian counterparts. Epona. Just like Wolf Link, Epona can be scanned into Animal Crossing New Leaf. And along with that, there's even an Epona-inspired bike in Mario Kart 8. And it looks pretty cool, especially with that Hylian shield. King of the Red Lions. The design for the King of the Red Lions is inspired by the shape of Japan. Just look. Ezlo. Ezlo's ability to shrink Link is identical to another hat found in the series called the Nat Hat, which even has a similar shape to Ezlo and resembles a Pokeball. Minda. Minda's voice is actually scrambled audio recordings of a Japanese girl speaking English, and that's what it sounds like when unscrambled. Just listen.
Which one will it be? Have you made up your mind? I'll take you there with my power. What do you think happened to those who try to rule with sacred magic?
Fi. Apparently Fi was such an obnoxious character in Skyward Sword that toning her down was a selling point in the HD remake, which is just hilarious. Crimson Loftwing. The Crimson Loftwing is randomly featured on the series' most iconic shield, the Hylian shield, so this must be a pretty dang important bird, even though it's only in one game. Impa. The Ocarina of Time manga explains why Link has ear piercings. It states that Impa taught Link how to use a sword at a young age, and as a token of his accomplishment, she pierced his ears, as Sheikah tradition. Kaepora Gaebora. Kaepora Gaebora is known to be one of the most annoying characters in the Legend of Zelda series, because when he's done explaining his long drawn out tutorial, his default option is for him to explain it again. So if you're an Ace Smasher, you probably despise this owl. Big Goron. The Big Goron sword is obtainable in Soul Calibur 2, and the description of the sword states that Big Goron is the best swordsmith in all of Hyrule, which is pretty believable given that the sword that he gives you is twice as powerful as the Master Sword. Dampe. Despite his appearance, Dampe claims to have a wife by saying, "I'm not going to give up. I'll keep asking you until you say yes. That's how I courted my current wife, you know." And the fact that he says current wife implies that he has had previous wives in the past, so this guy got game. Tingle. Tingle is just a grown man who generally believes that he is a fairy, which is just hilarious. And because of this, Tingle has become one of the most popular characters in Zelda, even getting his own spin-off games like Freshly Picked Tingle Rosy Rupee Land and Ripened Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love. Linkle. Linkle's scrap concept art for the Hyrule Warriors art book became so popular with the fans that the developer decided to include her in the game's 3DS port, even giving her a unique backstory. So canonically now, there is a female version of Link. Beetle. Just like Link in Zelda, Beetle is one of the very few characters that keep the same appearance in every game he appears in. Groose. When Groose first lands onto Hyrule, he states that he plans on naming it Grooseland. He even builds a bomb-launching catapult that he calls the Groosinator. So it's safe to say that Groose really loves his own name. Kuko. Kukos are infamous chickens in the Legend of Zelda series, because if you attack one too many times, a brood, yes, a group of chickens are called a brood, will spawn and start attacking you, which is just hilarious. Gossip Stone. In the first version of Ocarina of Time, one of the Gossip Stones will say, "It's rumored that Zelda's translator is super handsome and mega cool." And yes, this is talking about the real life translator for the first version of the game, so he totally put this in there himself. You sneaky dog, you. Koroks. In Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, each Korok will give you an item called a Korok seed, and it turns out that these seeds are literally pieces of poop. And funny enough, when you collect 900 of them, you'll receive a giant piece of poop from Hestu. Navi. In an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, he mentions that Navi is jealous of Princess Zelda, since she has feelings for Link, which has to be a reference to Peter Pan with Tinkerbell. I mean, just Link's uniform is a dead giveaway. Tattle and Tail. There's an Easter egg in Majora's Mask where if you start a new game after beating it, Tattle will have new dialogue acknowledging that you already defeated the game, since the game's all about time travel, which is pretty cool. Seela. Seela is a spirit of time and courage, and is actually the one responsible for allowing Link to wield the Triforce of Courage. And if you didn't know, Leaf is the spirit of power who allows Ganondorf to wield the Triforce of Power, and Neri is the spirit of wisdom, allowing Zelda to wield the Triforce of Wisdom. The Great Fairy. The Great Fairies appear in every single Legend of Zelda game and grant special upgrades to Link. And the ones in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom enhance Link's clothes by absolutely violating him. Like, just watch this. Yeah, they just totally did it. Melania. Melania is the god of horses and has the ability to revive horses that die along Link's journey. And depending on how your horse dies, he will react in different ways. Like for example, if you intentionally unlife your own horse, he will become enraged and mock you by asking you, "Would you like to revive this loyal, temporary, betrayed friend?" Which is pretty funny. Din. Even though Din is one of the 3 goddesses worshipped by the people of Hyrule, she seems to be more of an anti-goddess than a protector, since she is the one responsible for giving Ganondorf the ability to use the Triforce of Power. And this is probably explained by the fact that the Triforce gods are more neutral than good or evil, so she simply just doesn't care. Nehru. Zelda's counter move in Super Smash Bros. Is actually Nehru's love protecting her, as you can see the same shield in Ocarina of Time. Furore. The game's Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons both star Din and Naru, two of the Triforce gods. But there was planned to be a third game called Oracle of Secrets that would feature the third god as the main character, Furore. But the idea was scrapped because it would have been too difficult to link all three games with separate passwords. Windfish. Although called a fish, the windfish is clearly designed after a whale, which are actually mammals, not fish. They even poke fun at this fact with the owl statue saying, "The windfish in name only, for it is neither." Great Deku Tree. In the first version of Ocarina of Time, the Great Deku Tree's name was changed to the Great Mojo Tree, simply because the word Deku sounded too similar to the French phrase Deku, which means of ass, which is pretty hilarious. The Four Giants. The Four Giants are the ones responsible for creating the land of Termina, a parallel world of Hyrule that takes place in Majora's Mask. So these guys are basically Regigigas. Zephys. When coming up with companion designs for Wind Waker, the team created a cat, an acorn, and a frog. And after they decided to use the King of the Red Lions, they repurposed the frog as Zephys. Cyclos. Cyclos shares the same name, powers, and species with another character known as Golden Chief Cyclos, which is pretty weird because Fates of Hourglass is a sequel to Wind Waker, the game Cyclos is from. So instead of just using the same Cyclos, they made a completely new one. Valu. The bosses Wingo and Dragodon that appear in Captain Toad are remnants from when Captain Toad was originally meant to be a Zelda game, and it is thought that Valu was an inspiration for Dragodon, which seems about right because just look at them. Jaboon. There's an unused audio clip of Jaboon screaming, and this is what it sounds like. And it turns out that the scream was reused for opening a chest in the Ghost Ship dungeon. Just listen. Oshus. In the Phantom Hourglass manga, Oshus first appears reading a story about a hero who saved a princess who was trapped in a crystal, which happens to be a reference to the plot of Link to the Past, the third game in the series. Hylia. Despite being one of the most important characters in the Legend of Zelda series, Hylia has never made an appearance in any of the games. She does appear as a statue though, if that counts. Daruk. In one of Link's memories in Breath of the Wild, it is revealed that Daruk suffers from a severe case of cynophobia, which is the extreme fear of dogs. Mipha. In Zora tradition, a female Zora will present their future partner with armor made from their scales, and Mipha actually did this for Link to show her love for him, but unfortunately she passed away before she could present it to Link. Rivali. In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Rivali's spirit is represented by Falco, which is honestly perfect. And if you're wondering, Daruk is represented by Donkey Kong, Mipha is represented by Inkling, and Urbosa is represented by Zero Suit Samus. Urbosa. The director of Breath of the Wild's favorite character is Ibursa. Not because of the boobs. It's the boobs. Unibo. Unibo's favorite food is the rock roast, which also happens to be his primary weapon he uses in battle. So that's kind of like saying pizza is your favorite food and then using it as a weapon. I guess it's possible. Teba. If you put Teba and his wife Saki's names together, it makes the word Tabasaki, which in Japan is a fried poultry dish. Sidon. Prince Sidon in Breath of the Wild was so popular with fans that they actually shipped him with Link over Zelda. And funny enough, in Tears of the Kingdom, it was revealed that Sidon proposed to Yona, which now makes her one of the most hated characters in the game. Riju. Riju is the youngest Gerudo to be a ruler, with her age being 12. And if you're confused on why she looks a lot older, it's because Gerudos mature a lot faster than Hylians. Rauru. Raru's medallion resembles a character of the same name that appears in Ocarina of Time. Just look. Sonia. Not only is Sonia the distant ancestor of Zelda, but she is also the only confirmed woman in the Hyrule royal family to not be named Zelda, since the tradition started shortly after Sonia's death. Soraya. Soraya is probably the most iconic song in the Legend of Zelda series, and is so iconic that people who haven't played the game would probably recognize it. Just listen. Honestly, this might be one of the most iconic themes in gaming history. Darunia. Darunia is the father of Link. No, not that Link, Darunia's son Link, who he named after the hero who saved the Gorons from the Dondogos. Ruto. Princess Ruto from Ocarina of Time is the original Zora princess to have canonical feelings for Link. Although, unlike Mipha, Ruto is a lot more open about her feelings, even to the extent of calling him her fiance. So I guess in Link's case, there really are a lot of fish in the sea. Naburu. The Gerudo were originally a race of thieves, but Ganondorf was too evil even for them. So, in retaliation, Naburu started an uprising and allied with other tribes to take down Ganondorf, and ended up sealing him away in the Sacred Realm. Medley. The symbol located on Medley's shirt is commonly associated with the Zora tribe, and this little Easter egg is commonly used as evidence that the Rito tribe from Wind Waker evolved from Zoras, these fish people. Laruto. Despite literally being a fish person, and Wind Waker taking place in a giant ocean, Laruto is the only Zora to make an appearance in this game, which is kind of odd, and maybe even more evidence that the Zora tribe evolved into the Rito tribe. Fado. It is speculated that Fado is supposed to be one of the 7 sages in Ocarina of Time, since she has a unique design compared to the other Kokiri children, and that she shares the same name with one of the sages in Wind Waker. Spirits of Light. Only people who are brave are able to see the spirits of light. And since Link holds the Triforce of Courage, he obviously is one of the few that can. Immortal Dragons. The Immortal Dragons are the embodiment of people who perform a ritual in which they lose all of their memories and humanity in exchange for immortality. And even though only children are able to see them, Link is able to, even though he's technically 117 years old. Marin. If you bring Marin to the Trinity game during the portion of Link's Awakening when she's following you, she will actually play the game herself. But instead of grabbing one of the prizes, she grabs the shop owner, which is actually pretty funny. Terran. Terran is a reference to Mario, and not only is this apparent through his appearance, but also because he loves mushrooms. Terran even turns into a raccoon at one point in the game, referencing Mario's power-up in Super Mario Bros. 3. Happy Mask Salesman. Most fans would agree that Happy Mask Salesman is a creep who has a crazy infatuation for masks. In fact, one of the masks mounted on his backpack appears to be Mario's face, but with his eyes closed. And keep in mind, it appears that he holds the mask of those who perished, which really is creepy. The Running Man. It is actually impossible to beat the Running Man in his race. So basically, he's a liar! Talon. Along with his brother Ingo, Talon's overall design is based on Mario. He even appears in the Super Mario Bros. Movie as Mario's dad, which is pretty awesome. King Zora. King Zora is infamous for his painfully slow animation in Ocarina of Time. Just watch. Yeah, that took 30 seconds. Extra ad revenue for the win. Malon. In Ocarina of Time, Malon wears a pendant depicting Bowser. Just look. And this is a reference to the fact that Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64 were in development at the same time and were made by the same people. Anju. There is a side quest in Majora's Mask where you have to help Anju and Kefe get married before the moon destroys Termina. And it turns out that this was a reference to one of the developers attending a wedding during a missile crisis, which is pretty morbid. The moon. The iconic face on the moon was added as a last-minute decision, and this is apparent by looking at the promotional art where you can see the moon has no face. Kefe. In Majora's Mask, Kefe has a hideout where you can obtain a Keaton mask, which bears a direct resemblance to Pikachu. And pretty much is, because in the German version, Zelda will ask you while wearing it, "What are you?" "Oh, you're one of those small cute Poké Monsters, right?" Aryll. Aryll is Link's only sibling throughout the entirety of the series. Linebeck. Despite being a captain and spending most of his time at sea, Linebeck doesn't know how to swim. So I guess he must have ate one of the devil fruits from One Piece. Hestu. If Link removes all of his clothes in front of Hestu and talks to him, Hestu will celebrate the fact that they're both naked, and will sing a little song. Cass. Despite Cass not being a major character in Breath of the Wild, his music became pretty famous. Like just this video right here of this guy covering him got 7.3 million views. Paya. Paya is hopelessly in love with Link, and if you remove all of your clothes in front of her, she will cover her eyes, but will peek if you stand there long enough, which is pretty cute. Pura. In Tears of the Kingdom, Pura invents a device called the Pura Pad, which basically is a Nintendo Switch. Hudson. Hudson owns a construction business, and he will only hire people whose names end with Sun, which is pretty weird, but funny. King Dorfin. King Dorfin took on a Guardian Stalker single-handedly, and apparently with relatively ease. You know, those big robot things with scary music? Master Koga. In Breath of the Wild, Master Koga is defeated by falling into a pit, which may have been a foreshadowing to the underground depths in the game's sequel, Tears of the Kingdom. Funny enough, in Tears of the Kingdom, Koga is defeated once again, but this time he goes flying into the sky. So this may be yet another foreshadowing to a future installment, maybe another sequel that takes place in outer space. Minoru. Minoru is the one responsible for creating the robots known as constructs. But funny enough, despite Minoru being with Link in the majority of the game, she neglects to tell the robots to stop attacking him. So basically she's a troll. Ronson. Remember the previous fact about Hudson only hiring workers whose name end with Sun? Well, guess what? He married Ronson merely because her name ends in Sun too. I wonder what he's gonna call his son. Sun? Robbie. Robbie quote-unquote invented one of the strongest weapons in Breath of the Wild, the ancient arrow, by literally tying a regular dagger to an arrow with a piece of rope. Talk about innovative. And finally for the last character, Tulane. The voice actor for Tulane also voiced Raz Nidoran, Cubone, and Ash's Railu in the Pokemon anime, which is pretty cool. And there you go, 100 facts about the 100 Zelda characters. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, you should check out my 1 fact for every Mario character that I did right here. I covered 100 characters in that video as well, so check it out. And be sure to click that subscribe button and ring the bell.